It's Thursday, January 30th. Quick one-up video for you wonderful ladies and gentlemen. The market has been super choppy and we've seen some very mixed reactions on earnings. Obviously, Microsoft wasn't so good, but IBM and Tesla were. Going to hold its gains into the next session. We had seen multiple downgrades ahead of these numbers, but we had discussed in the midweek video that I thought we'd see some symmetry. The fact that it held the 61.8 on the pullback, and I thought that we would get to the 61.8 on the bounce. Up to there right now in the after hours. We'll get to that in a bit. As far as VIX goes, still one time framing to the downside. I have an alert over the 1642 high of day. If that can clear, we probably would run it up into the low 18s. I don't really get very interested in shorts until we clear 1936 though. And I do think that the 14s, 15s area will likely be some support. I'd like to still play directionally, meaning long call spreads, or long put spreads. Not so big into being net seller of premium. As far as the ES and the NQ go, very simple. The bulls need to stay over 6100. If they can do that and they could stay over 6110.75, I think that there is room to the retest of the 6178.75 all-time highs. Qs are a little bit weaker here. They need to get over 21,779 quarter, which we're testing in the after hours. That's the 61.8 of the range. If that can clear, the 78.6 is up at 22,074 quarter, and then the 100% retracement would be 22,450. On the downside, if we stall here at the 21,779 quarter, we likely would pull back to the 50% fib at 21,572, and then we'd see. As far as SPY goes, it is still bouncing. I like that it's over the 78.6, although we have tested a little bit below there at 601.85. Generally, though, I think as long as the bulls can hold 600, they're okay for the move back up to the 609, 610s. Below 600, I think sees 596.19 and probably fills the 116 gap down to 591.64. Qs are obviously up in the after hours with the pumpage out of Apple. There is a gap fill from 124 at 529.63. We're not quite there yet. We're in the 527s as of this video, but my guess is that area and the 530.71, which would be the 78.6 of the range, would likely be some resistance. If that fails, we'll probably pull back to the 524.08, 61.8 of the range. If we're weak tomorrow for whatever reason and we take out the 519s, I think we're looking for the 114 gap fill at 505s. Speaking of Apple, on the dump, we got the 219s to 220s, which was the 61.8 of the range. The bounce 61.8 would be 244.54. We're trading roughly around there now in the after hours. We did trade a little bit above it. I think that that area is a good spot to book some gains into. If we do keep going, the yellow channel high, which is the less aggressive of the two channels, is around 249, 250, and that to me would be a good opportunity to book some gains. I'll be looking to see if Apple can hold the gains. If they are weak and it pulls in, we'll probably see it come back down to the 240s rather quickly. Then that would be the opportunity for the bulls to really prove themselves. If that can't hold, I'm thinking 237.49 and maybe even a retest of the 234.94 levels. That, of course, being the 10.5 breakout. Those were the 237s, and the 38.2 of the range is down at 234.94. Tesla got a nice little ride here. Meta also, by the way, was pretty strong. But the Tesla move didn't really have a lot of legs to it. The after hours highs was 413.10, and I've told you they can rally it all the way up to 430.79 and still not be into the clear. That for me is the key pass don't pass line, and that's the 50% fib of the range. Meta also sold off after hitting the 2 times range in the RTH session. 710.30, the after hours high was 716.17. We are still above the channel. It doesn't surprise me. We've seen a lot of these pops like Netflix see pullbacks at least the first day and then ultimately be able to rally still further. A lot of the traders in these are in these near dated expiration option premiums, so they need to get out quickly. I think today's range is key though. If we get over the 710.79, I think we could see 727.75, 776.64, and maybe 782.97. These are fib extensions on longer time frames. If we stay within today's range, which was 710.79 down to 676.10, I'd view that as generally bullish. Below today's low of day, that 76.10, there is a very decent likelihood that we could pull all the way back to 638.40, 12.11 breakout level. Microsoft got the wackaroo today. It is right on trend though, and this has been in a big range for a while. I've wondered if it's going to form a complex top. If it does keep dumping, We're right near the most recent reference low from 114 at 410.72. After that, it's 405.57, and then the full pennant fill would be to 400.80. I think as long as the bulls can't get over 426.97 to 430.82, it's sideways to lower. Back up above there could probably work on filling in the gap to 442.33. IBM was pretty bossed today too. That actually closed almost near the highs. It is a little bit below the after hours pop high at 258.70. We had talked about this getting up to maybe the 261s, 262s, and it did. That's now the yellow channel high. I'd give this a couple of days to settle in, but as long as it does stay over 258.70, it is still sideways to higher. NVDA seems to be getting a little whackage lately, but it is still holding in. We're roughly around that 200 MA. It is bear flagging now with 4 days down here. Anything below 129.51 to me risks a move still lower. If we were to able to take out the low from 128 below 116.25, we'll probably see 114.42 and maybe even a rundown to the 100.95 to 104 level. I do think that that zone will likely be some support again. I'm in a 1/2 put ratio playing for that move down there, so hopefully we will get it. It doesn't have to be right away, but I would like to see it sooner than not. Bitcoin has been acting okay. Not exactly back up over the highs, and I do need to see that over 108,960, which would negate the look above and fail. Anything below there technically could really go down to 89,525. We are bouncing though, and the 50 MA has held, and that seems to be the key MA now. Currently 99,022. I think pullbacks to there are still okay, but below there is not so great. I generally though like to be long above 100,000 and or stopped out below 100,000. Gold is riding channel high. We have been bullish on this. We're very close to the 2.618 at 258.95, which is also very close to the green channel high. So I do like trimming out of some gold here. I do think pullbacks are still viable, but we are into some of our upside targets. Resistance, I do like trimming gains into them. TLT still hanging in there, still night putting. I still think we can get up to the 89.55. If it were to do the downtrend channel high, it would be 91.29, which is the 38.2 of the range. I ultimately do think we could see those 91s, 93s, and maybe even into the 95s at some point this year, but it isn't going to happen right away. We are long, we liked it in the 87s and the 85s, and we are profitable in the trade as of now. Not necessarily looking to roll up the bull put spreads and or add to the bull call spreads just yet, but it is on my radar to do so. As far as the trade that I'm in, I'm short the 85.80 January 26 puts, and I'm long the 90-100 January 26 calls. If we keep languishing here or have another leg lower, I'll roll down the 100s to the 95s. I have a pretty nice gain on those, so I may do it anyway. That roll down, though, from the 100 to 95, if I can get some decent premium on that, will make up for it down the stretch. Generally speaking, I still think markets are a responsive situation, meaning they look very pretty, like they're going to break out near the highs, and then they come back into range, and or they look really bad on the lows, looking like we're going to break down and then come back into range. My thesis for this year was that we would be trading in this sort of large range with breakout and breakdown false moves. So far, I'm still sticking with that thesis. I reserve the right to change it if the levels and the price action does change, but so far that has been what's worked. Like and follow for more.